hopping on a plane today, flying from Detroit to Los Angeles. But even as I'm waiting to board my flight, I feel kind of guilty about it. Air travel is an immense carbon emission. My flight today is about 2,000 miles, which ends up being about 300 kilograms of carbon dioxide per passenger. And climate change, as we all know far too well, is an existential threat to the future of our planet. And my flight, and all of our flights, are contributing to that. But I'm flying to attend a conference, SIGGRAPH. I'm presenting a paper there. Academic travel is, if not essential to, a large part of career development. Publish and present, or perish. We can make individual choices to not fly to a conference and miss out on it entirely, but there might be professional consequences to that decision. But we, collectively, as a community, can decide to change our conference format to make it more environmentally friendly. In this video, I'm going to cover 3 alternatives to the traditional annual conference. One of the most extreme approaches to reducing our carbon footprint would be to switch to an entirely online format. But this also comes with its downsides. One major draw for the typical conference is that it brings people physically together to network. This can lead to new collaborations, job opportunities, and friendships. Since the pandemic, a lot of my meetings have moved to Zoom, which, while it has its downsides, it makes it easier to meet with people, especially those who are not geographically close to you. It's about 8 a.m. where I am. What time is it over by you?
Okay, so I'm in Jakarta, and it's 7 p.m. here.
Can you describe how we met?
I think I sent you a message on Slack because I saw a paper around learning objectives that you posted. I sent you a message to see if there was a paper that we could kind of write together, which we have been doing for a while now. And I think as of now, it's very close to being ready to submit, maybe even this week.
Yeah, maybe this week. Fingers crossed, that's the plan. Do you think in-person networking is essential to an academic career?
Yes and no. I think it's been kind of helpful to me to kind of meet people kind of in person, but I've also done a lot of kind of distance networking, like with you. We've not met in person yet. I think it's definitely helpful because you tend to kind of get to kind of experience a bit more with people, but I don't think you can't do it online.
How do you feel about fully remote conferences?
I actually enjoyed the first fully remote conference that I was a part of. It was the IEEE VIS, and I quite enjoyed the behind-the-scenes kind of Discord, particularly how it was used as kind of the workshops went on, where we had these kind of pre-recorded videos, and it meant that you could kind of chat about the videos as they were happening, answering questions as they were kind of happening, kind of sharing things. And also I think maybe one of the people in the workshop or somebody commented in Discord that was the first IEEE VIS they'd been able to attend because they'd been rejected with visas previously. One of the benefits, I think, of that kind of fully remote conference was the fact that it gave access to a lot more people than previously.
Remote conferences are substantially more accessible and equitable than in-person events. Those who cannot afford or get visas to attend would not be excluded by their circumstances. And these may be people from low-income countries or practitioners that would love to get involved but don't have a travel budget as part of their job. Virtual attendance options are also friendlier to immunocompromised attendees. If you had to pick between a remote conference, a hybrid conference, regional conference, or a global conference, which would be your favorite?
So hybrid, I think, is maybe my favorite.
Hybrid conferences offer a compromise between virtual attendance and in-person attendance. There's typically a smaller physical in-person conference and an online platform for virtual attendees. Did you go to the hybrid viz in 2022?
I did. I got to see lots of people. It was nice to reconnect with the community. It was a really special and intimate conference compared to other ones?
What made you want to attend in person rather than virtually?
It was one really specific thing. I was going on the job market that year, and I really felt the necessary to go put my name out and do networking things. And really, quite specifically, going to Viz that year got me my position at Utah. Like people at from Utah told me to, and so I did.
How do you feel about hybrid conferences?
Extremely positively. I think they're really good, and I think there's a lot of benefits that come from them.
Hybrid conferences would seem to offer the best of both worlds, but they also have their downsides too. With a hybrid conference, you not only have all of the in-person costs of renting space, feeding attendees, and such, but the tech setup can also be surprisingly expensive with on the online environments, the equipment to record the talks, the software to stream it, and the IT experts to help run it all. If you had to pick between a remote, hybrid, regional, or global conference, which would be your favorite?
Regional, no doubt about it.
Another alternative to a single global location is to have regional or satellite conferences. In 2022, the UK chapter of FOSS4G hosted a regional conference across 9 venues, which was so well received by the participants that they did the same thing for 2023, although admittedly on a much smaller scale than VIS. For VIS, regional conferences could be 2 to 5 official locations around the world without having one central location. This way, participants could travel to whichever location is closest to them, rather than everyone traveling to a single global location. Regional conferences are very effective at cutting carbon emissions. The American Association of Geographers estimated that hosting a regional conference with 3 locations in Honolulu, Dublin, and Ottawa would cut carbon costs for them by 70 to 77% compared to hosting it only in Honolulu. But regional conferences would require even more volunteers to operate. Each location would need regional chairs, rather than just finding general chairs for a single location. It's already difficult for VIS organizers to find people to volunteer to be a general chair. With this format, we might need way more volunteers to step up to make this feasible. There's also a bunch of other open questions about the logistics, like how would time zones be navigated? How would we deal with finances at multiple locations? Would IEEE still support the logistics, overhead, and risk of such a reorganization? I'm not gonna lie, it's fun to travel to new places around the world multiple times a year, all paid for by your employer. Academic travel is a job perk. You can even extend your stay and get a vacation out of it. But are the benefits of having a global annual conference worth it? With all these wildfires, heat waves, more frequent and more intense natural disasters, not to mention the future collapse of a livable planet, I think it's important that we reduce our travel, and we can adapt our conference to a lower carbon format. One idea that has emerged in other conferences is to limit but not stop the rate at which we hold international conferences. In particular, the conference cadence could involve an international full VIS every 3 years, while the other 2 years would be coordinated regional events or online events. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change stated that climate change is a threat to human well-being and planetary health. There is a rapidly closing window of opportunity to secure a livable and sustainable future for all. I don't know about all of you, but that statement makes me panic a bit. Fortunately, there is something we can do about it. But are we going to do something about it? Are you willing to start conversations about this? Are you willing to try out new ways of online interactions? Are you willing to volunteer for a regional event? Or are you fine with going back to the status quo? I think it's important that we reduce our
Oh my God. Oh my God.